What's up everyone, my name is Nick and welcome back to another new and exciting TV box review. Most of you may already know that Ugoos released their second version of the AM8 called the AM8 Pro. We already know the amazing performance and features of their first AM8 model running on the hexa-core Amlogic S928X CPU, and they have now released a Pro version with 8GB of RAM and 64GB of internal storage on the same high-performance hexa-core CPU. So this video is more of a recap and comparison to the first model to see what has changed and if there is an improvement in performance. So don't go anywhere, that begins right after this brief intro. Welcome back. So like I said, it literally has the same contents as the AM8 model. You have the box itself. It has the same Bluetooth voice remote, an HDMI cable, 12 volts DC power supply and power cable, dual antennas, and a user manual. Its design and I/O ports are also the same, with one HDMI 2.1 port, a gigabit LAN, optical audio, an auxiliary port, USB-C O2G port, and USB-C power delivery port, 3 USB 3.0 ports, micro SD card slot, and below its reset and mask run buttons with ventilation holes, with its entire body made of aluminum. So upon startup, you have the same option to select between the two Ugoos launchers. I like to use launcher 3 as it's the best option and has the most features like the ones used on mobile phones. So with this launcher, you get the same navigation bar and full status bar with system controls. And if you head over to the settings area under the About section, it's running on Android 11, same as the previous model. The only thing different here is that it's already updated to the latest firmware, version 1.3.3. Owners of the first AM8 model need not to worry because this firmware update is already available for your model. In this Pro model, you get the same extensive list of unique firmware features, the most in the industry that Ugoos is known for, and I'll quickly do a recap. You get 4K 60Hz, but it can do 8K 30Hz maximum. So they created a new section called Color, and the reason for doing this is to present their newest Dolby Vision display feature. Under HDR policy, you now have the option to select Dolby Vision Always On, HDR Display Always On, Adaptive HDR and Dolby Vision, and the option to totally disable and run in standard display. Under Color Mode, you have up to YCB CR for 22 12-bit. And you now have an enhanced HDR to SDR feature to improve the color display on TVs that do not support HDR, or if you are using the SDR only mode. Still under resolution, you now have another new feature called Frame Buffer Size. What this does is that it changes the size of the UI to make it look sharper while at the same time maintaining its 4K resolution. Vertical displays are now popular with monitors that have horizontal and vertical swivel features. With its orientation features, you can change its display orientation to portrait mode, reverse portrait, and reverse landscape. A feature they also added, and it's one that frustrated users in the past, is the option to force the orientation to stay in whichever position you set it in, so apps are forced to open in landscape mode and not cropped in mobile aspect ratio. An option brought over from the Android core settings is the option to change the UI's font size and density. A much welcomed feature is auto frame rate switching. This comes in handy to keep audio and video in sync when switching movies on streaming applications so that the voice doesn't seem to be ahead or behind the video. For audio, it comes with options to switch between HDMI and optical audio, and it also has surround sound audio options. Under Inputs and Devices is where you'll find its HDMI CEC options. It comes with a button manager feature that uses keymapping to assign function to keyboard keys and gamepads. With its Bluetooth remote, there's a feature to assign special functions to the menu button. If you prefer to navigate your interface and play Android games with a mouse cursor, it comes with mouse pointer options to change the way it interacts with the UI, and there is also a unique feature that allows it to perform touchscreen functions when playing touchscreen games. And you have another new groundbreaking feature under the option labeled USB. Here you can control the speed of the USB ports, apply sleep mode, and under OTG is where you can enable USB debugging and the much welcomed and first time feature of USB file transfer when connected to your PC or laptop. This is the same feature you have with mobile phones when you connect them to your PC or laptop and you simply select file transfer. You now have it on the AM8 and it's a first for the industry. Under Panels and Interface, you have the option to enable or disable the navigation bar and status bar. You can change the position of the volume bar and you can also change its color. There is an option to change the layout of the Recent Apps feature from horizontal to horizontal with perspective. You can change the size and spacing between the panels and you can also change the color of the background. Its built-in hardware monitor feature has some new additions to monitor, such as HDMI audio mode and HDMI color mode. You have the option to change the launcher from the preloaded ones and whichever you installed from the Play Store. You can choose which voice input application you would like to use to perform a search. And you can change the speed of the UI's animation to make it snappier. Under Power, it now includes the option to control the behavior of the power LED. You can set it to respond to the CPU's activity. You can set it to respond to its power state. You can set it to respond to keystrokes, or you can disable the keystroke response feature. You have power key definition features, sleep timer features, and the option to max the CPU scale governor to clock the CPU to the highest speeds. Under Storage, you have client and Samba server features. This is for setting up the box on wireless or LAN networks such as NAS servers. So I hope you are not getting tired. Moving along, it has a root switch by way of the Magisk application. It comes in 54 various languages. And you can also access its default core Android settings. So as you can see, Ugoos placed a lot of research and development into this new model, and there is no other box on the market that comes even close to these features. So up to this point, everything is the same between the two models. Let's take a look at what's different in its system and hardware information. Under System, it shows that it runs on 8GB of RAM, and this is DDR4 memory and 64GB of internal storage. This is an upgrade in performance and storage compared to the AM8 model, which has 4GB of RAM and 32GB of internal storage. Its Bluetooth version remains 5.3. With increased RAM and internal storage, this Pro model will perform faster and have greater multitasking capabilities. You also have double the internal storage to install larger apps and games and to store your content. Its CPU is the latest Amlogic S928X-J 12nm HZA aluminum coated processor, and it's a penta-core model, which means it consists of 5 computing cores. A quad-core Cortex A55 clocked at 2.0 GHz and a single-core Cortex A76 clocked at 1.8 GHz with a max CPU clock speed of 2.0 GHz configured in 32-bit mode. I was hoping that with 8GB of RAM, they would have configured this Pro model in 64-bit mode, but unfortunately, it's still in 32-bit mode. The GPU component of the SoC is the ARM Mali G57 7nm dual-core graphics processor with 128KB to 256KB L2 cache running up to 1.07 MHz. This GPU is ideal for gaming as it has Vulkan 1.1 and OpenGLES version 3.2 support. Its network adapter is the AP6276P Wi-Fi 6 dual band 2.4 GHz, 5 GHz and 5.850 GHz, or what some are now calling 6G. I've already shown that it's running on Android 11 and currently it's not rooted, but not to worry as it comes with a root switch, and I'll show that to you in just a moment. Just to confirm, it has Vulkan API version 1.1 support. Under temperature, with its massive heatsink on a very hot day like today, right now it's 32 degrees Celsius outside and it idles around 46 degrees Celsius, and I'll monitor how high it increases during gaming to test the effectiveness of its heatsink. And for audio and video decoders, it comes with video decoders such as H264, HEVC, AV1 and Dolby Vision for the playback of 4K and 8K Dolby Vision videos. For surround sound audio, it comes with EAC3 for Dolby Atmos, Dolby Digital Plus, True HD and Dolby Surround. For DTS audio, there are no decoders, but I will test for it during the surround sound segment. So the only thing different in this model compared to the AM8 is the increased RAM and internal storage. So with all features being equal with only a difference in RAM and internal storage, the only way to differentiate between the two is by using performance benchmarks. So I updated the AM8 model to the same firmware version as the AM8 Pro and repeated all of the benchmarks for a proper comparison. So first, I have the results of their RAM and internal storage transfer speeds. The Pro model has a RAM transfer speed of 17,785 MB per second, and the non-Pro version has a RAM transfer speed of 70,580. The Pro version has internal storage read speed of 121 MB per second and a write speed of 69 MB per second. The non-Pro version has a read speed of 195 MB per second and a write speed of 86 MB per second. So we see here, the Pro version has a slightly faster RAM transfer speed with its 8 MB over 4 GB, but it appears that the non-Pro version has faster internal storage read and write speeds. In comparing their Wi-Fi and LAN speeds based on my internet speed of 315 megabits per second, they both have the same network adapter, and I can safely say that they both have the same Wi-Fi and Ethernet LAN speeds. However, the Pro model's 2.4 GHz band performed slightly faster than the AM8 model. In the benchmarking their CPUs, a single core and multi-core performance, I was expecting to see a significant difference between the two models, but it appears that they perform just about the same. The AM8 Pro got a Geekbench 5 score of 417 single core and 768 multi-core, and the previous AM8 original model scored 415 single core and 762 multi-core, just a few digits slower. So where it makes a big difference is in its gaming performance. In benchmarking their GPUs, they both qualified for the wildlife test, where the AM8 Pro got a score of 1065 with an average frame rate of 6.38. The previous AM8 model, on the other hand, could not complete the wildlife test given an out-of-memory error, so it could only complete the slingshot test, which is a lower test that demands less memory. So the benefit here of having 8 GB of RAM allows it to be better at Android gaming. And where you get a bit of a difference is in the comprehensive Antutu benchmark, where the AM8 Pro scored 313,027 with a significant increase in memory performance compared to the previous AM8 that scored 296,026 with a much lower memory performance score. So those are its performance benchmarks, and let's now see where the AM8 Pro model places on my rankings chart. So I've updated my chart, and the new AM8 Pro is at position number 4 at the time of making this video, which is one position higher than the previous AM8. This new Pro model is not easy to find, so I placed Amazon and AliExpress links right here so you can find it easily. And to view this chart where you can compare all of its features to other boxes in this list, you can find it using the link I provided in the description directly below this video. It can also help you decide which is the best TV box to buy based on the features you need. This chart is best viewed on a desktop or laptop where you can maximize it to compare all of its features using the various columns. See the link in the description below this video. So in this Pro model, you have the same premium entertainment features from the first model, such as YouTube in 4K with HDR, screen rotation to portrait mode, mobile screen mirroring, 4K video playback with Dolby Vision, all surround sound audio formats, and high-performance 32-bit Android gaming with gamepad keymapping. In summary, the new AM8 Pro has the same unique features as the previous model with a bit more hardware performance due to its increased RAM and internal storage. My only disappointment with this model is that with its 8GB of RAM, they could have easily granted 64-bit architecture to play 64-bit apps and games, and it would have also unlocked its maximum hardware performance. For an in-depth review and a demonstration of its firmware features, you can view those in my first video of the AM8. See the link in the description. So if you are interested in this Pro model, it's available for purchase using the Amazon and AliExpress links in the description below. Links in the description are my affiliate links, which means when you use them to purchase, I earn a small commission, which in turn provides the upkeep and means for me to acquire new Android boxes for review, so thanks in advance for using my links. And as usual, give my video the thumbs up to support the work that I do on this channel. If you have an interest in Android boxes, then I urge you to follow my channel by clicking the subscribe button and ringing the notifications bell to receive notifications when I release new videos or decide to do a giveaway. Thanks for watching my video, stay connected, and see you in the next one.